In today's video, I'm going to be talking about several running myths or things that people believe are true about running that simply are not. First thing that I want to talk about is the belief that runners should stretch before they run or work out. I want to talk about static stretching here. And static stretching is when you hold a stretch for like 20-30 seconds or more and you're in that position. Static stretching is when you are lengthening the muscle, and when you do that before you run, you're going to decrease the power in the muscles and in your limbs. Dynamic stretching, on the other hand, is the stretching that you do want to be doing before your run. So I do already have a video about what warm-up is best before your run in my pre-run warm-up video. Little movements like leg swings or fire hydrants, leg circles, tons of different movements that you can do to make sure your hips, glutes, core, hamstrings, everything is ready to go. So the next myth that I want to talk about is that running is bad for your joints and for your knees. Now, I totally understand why this is misunderstood and why people think that. A lot of runners do get hurt in their joints and in their knees, but usually this is because they're either doing too much for their individual body, building up too fast and building up the intensity too quickly, or they aren't strength training to complement the running that they are doing. Now, a lot of times knee injuries and joint injuries tend to happen because some muscles surrounding the joint or the area that is hurt isn't strong enough. So it's so important to strength train the hamstrings, the glutes, the quads, the core, everything to protect all of your joints and all of your muscles. So that being said, running is actually good for your joints and good for your knees in the long term. There's some studies shown on it and I'll link them down below, but some recommendations that I have to prevent those injuries: obviously strength train, but also switching up your running surface can be really beneficial to some softer like grass or gravel. Make sure you are always changing your shoes out every 300 to 500 miles roughly. Basically just keeping an eye out for when that tread really starts to wear. You want to make sure you have a good pair of sneakers, and then also listening to your body and giving yourself the rest days and the recovery that it needs, and being patient as you gradually build throughout your running career. You don't want to build too quickly. That is when injuries happen. You have to let your body condition to the pounding, to the pavement. That takes time. It takes a gradual buildup for you to build your foundation. Another myth that I want to talk about is that more is better. Now, with running, you see professionals, a lot of them are doing like 100-mile weeks and even more, double runs every single day, just like crazy training. But what we don't see is all of the years that accumulate that enable them to do that for their bodies. It's all based on your individual needs and your individual body. Days off can really benefit you and help you and your body recover. It is so important to keep the long-term picture in mind and keep sustainability and longevity. If you and your body are feeling a day off and you need that rest, take it and don't feel guilty about it. More miles is not always better. I learned this the hard way in college, and I ended up with really low iron and ending my career earlier than I had wanted to. So just be patient. You'll be able to run more miles as you become more experienced and as you strength train and become stronger. Just remember that more is not always better. So the next myth that I want to talk about might be a little bit taboo, but honestly we need to open up the dialogue about women's health. This one is that it's normal for women and girls to pee in their pants when they're running, jumping, sprinting, or finishing a race. Now, while this is common, it's not normal. It probably has something to do with a pelvic floor weakness, which is a part of your essential core. So strengthening your core with exercises that involve the hips, the pelvis, the back, and overall strengthening is going to help a lot. Now, I'm definitely not a doctor, I'm not a physical therapist, but I do have experience with pelvic floor dysfunction, and it has drastically impacted the way that I strength train, the way that I run, the way that I breathe. And I really want to get across to all females, peeing in your pants when you're running is not normal, and that needs to be addressed either with a physical therapist. Going along with that in women's health, the next myth that I want to debunk is that it's normal for girls to lose their period and to stop menstruating when they're training hard or running a lot of miles. Amenorrhea is something really serious for young girls and adolescents as they're growing up. Losing your period can really affect your hormonal health, your bone density health, and can lead to injuries and further health issues down the line. So if this is you and you're a long distance runner, I highly recommend talking to a coach, a parent, and eventually going to see a doctor to get this under control so you can get your period back. And I also kind of recommend taking a look at your nutrition and making sure that you are fueling adequately enough to match your training needs. So the next myth that I want to talk about is that if you're not fast or you don't run a lot of miles, then you don't qualify as a runner. Now I know this isn't really a myth because obviously that is far from true, but I think it's a great thing to end this video on. Remember, if you are tying up your shoes and going out the door for a run, you are a runner. It doesn't matter how far you're running, how fast you're running, where you're running, who you're running with, what you're doing with running. You are a runner no matter what, and you need to own that because being a runner is something so special. It is so much more than physical. It is mental, it is spiritual. You can connect with others, connect with you and your body's ability to do a little bit more every single day. It's a unique way to connect with the world around you and to explore nature on foot. It is just so special, so embrace it no matter how far you're running. I don't care if you're running for 30 seconds, you're tying up your shoes and going out the door, you are a runner. Alright, so if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If there's any other running myths that you know and like to talk about, definitely leave them in the comments below. I would love for you to click that like button and subscribe to my channel. I will see you in my next video, but until then, happy running.